me go ahead and introduce myself as we're settling in. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today for this Donorbox webinar. My name is Jenna, and I'm the Education and Community Engagement Manager here at Donorbox. We help fundraisers who lack sufficient time, resources, and technology to achieve growth and sustainability for greater impact. So unlike generic fundraising platforms, Donorbox is a comprehensive suite of tools, services, and resources that really empower fundraisers with a custom solution to acquire and retain, because that's the important part, retain their donors while raising funds online and on location. And so far, we have helped more than 80,000 organizations from all around the world raise over $2 billion in donations. So you can create an account if you haven't already and launch your first campaign for free. Simply visit donorbox.org. Now, I have got a special guest here, and his video quality is looking much better now. I think we've got it, Tony. I am so excited to introduce Tony Martignetti to talk about planned giving and the myths that are all floating around in your head. Tony Martignetti has specialized in planned giving since 1997. He started as a frontline fundraiser and kicked off his consulting in 2003. He knows how to launch and expand planned giving programs, and he hosts the #1 podcast for nonprofits, Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio, big nonprofit ideas for the other 95%. And I am a listener all the time, so go ahead and check it out, and we'll share a link for that too. And Tony weaves in his stand-up comedy background into all his talking. So we are in for a great session today, informative and entertaining, I imagine. So he is at tonymartignetti.com. I'm going to go ahead and launch that link for you, and I will launch it a couple times throughout the session. So we're in great hands today. Welcome, Tony.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you very much to you and Donorbox for hosting. I saw on Twitter, Twitter, the average attention span is 9 seconds. And I thought, that's enough time for my mother to create guilt. I'm coming over for dinner. Can't you stay for the night? I'm coming to stay for the night. Can't you stay the weekend? I'm coming to stay for the weekend. Take me on a cruise. I'm taking you on a cruise. Can't you move back home? I'm moving back home. Let's get cemetery plots. So that's a bit about motherly guilt. I'm sure none of you have ever suffered motherly guilt. And if there's anybody old enough, I'm sure you've never imposed mother guilt on your children, naturally. But at the next level, it's about wanting a deeper relationship. And that's the connection. My purpose here with you is to help you enjoy the deeper relationships that definitely come from planned giving fundraising. You will have conversations with your donors and potential donors that get to the next level. Unlike most of the conversations that you're having now, you will get to know your donors better, and you will enjoy those deeper relationships that come from planned giving fundraising. And I welcome everybody. Thank you again for being with us. Hope this is going to be valuable for you. Here is how I'm hoping to give you that value. This is where we're headed. What and why of planned giving, make sure we're all on the same page, who your best prospects are, how you get started in planned giving. Got a little surprise there for our host. Just leave you a little suspense what that surprise might be on how to get started. Marketing strategies, continuing ed, and then the all-important Q&A as Jenna, her name is not Jonah. She's not Jonah. No, she's Jenna. As Jenna asked, please do put your questions in so that we get to the point of what is on your mind. That's the most important point. What I didn't touch on or I didn't go enough detail into that leaves you with questions, please put those in the chat. Let us know so that we can focus on those at the end, and there will be time for that. And of course, as we are going through all this, we will be debunking these nasty top 5 myths that keep people away from planned giving. So the what and why, just to get us started, my simple definition of planned giving is that this is the fundraising where your donors are considering their long-term plans, the long-term plans for themselves and for their family, their loved ones, their estate plans, their retirement plans, and how you fit into them, how your work, because it's so valuable to them, which we are going to talk about, becomes a part of their long-term plan for their loved ones. And for today, what we're going to talk about today is that these are gifts of cash to your nonprofit at the donor's death. There are other methods of planned giving that we're not going to talk about today. You'll see what we're going to focus on, gifts and wills, but you need to recognize it. So it's long-term. This is long-term fundraising, gifts of cash at the donor's death. Why do planned giving? Presumably you don't really need a lot of motivation because you're right here, you're with us. So you already think it's important, but just in case, or in case you have to maybe overcome some naysayers back at the office, or hopefully not, but maybe on your board, why would you embark on planned giving? If I don't need to convince you, I presume I don't, how can I help you convince others? Sustainability, in a word. It will build your sustainability. Your donors know how important your work is in your community, and you're going to be making the point to them about how important that work is, that it must continue for decades, 20, 30 years from now. Your work is that important to your community. Your sustainability is essential. Planned giving will help you with that because these are long-term gifts. And directly parallel to ensuring your sustainability is endowment, either the growth of your endowment, if you have an endowment now, or the launch of your endowment, if you don't yet have an endowment. All the billion-dollar endowments started at zero at some point, so you don't want to be discouraged. We don't have an endowment, we can't. No, this is the reason to do planned giving, is because you don't have an endowment, or your endowment is not where it ought to be. Planned giving can help with that. All the unrestricted gifts that come, I encourage you to put those into that endowment. I refer to this as get a finger, grab a hand fundraising, only insofar as we can take from these iconic brands and probably hundreds of others that you could name easily, right, off the top of your head, that let's take a Delta, for instance, an airline. You book a flight. Is that the end? That's the beginning. Do you want the Wi-Fi package? Do you want to buy food? Do you want to prepay for your baggage? Do you want to upgrade your zone? Do you want to go from Main to Comfort? Do you want to go to Comfort Plus? Do you want to go to first class? Do you want to go to business? Right? That's the part that we can take, that it's not that the initial steps, which would be your donors giving, is not the end of the relationship. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of a new conversation. It's going to be the beginning of a planned giving conversations when you're planned giving conversation, when you're talking to those right prospects, which we're going to get to immediately after this slide. So not that it's salesy and transaction-y. No, that, of course, is not what we are taking away from what you might feel from these brands. That's not what we're taking. What we're taking is your donors know you, they're supporting you, you're asking them to take the next step with you. And who are those donors that you're going to be talking to, your best prospects for planned giving? These are the folks who love your work. They know how important your work is in the community. How do we know that they love your work? Because these are your consistent, loyal, long-term donors. These are the folks you want to target for planned giving conversations. You want to open the door to a planned giving conversation. We're going to talk about what that conversation looks like shortly. But first, who you're having it with. Your long-term, loyal donors. And preferably folks who are 55 to 60 and over. I say that because that's roughly the age where people start thinking about their long-term plans. I mentioned earlier those, the estate plan, the retirement plan, as methods of giving back to the causes that have been important to them. And notice I didn't say that's when you start thinking about your estate plan or your retirement plan. No, that should be decades earlier, especially if you have children, because then you want to make sure that guardianship issues are covered in your estate plan. But this is the age roughly where people start using those long-term plans to give back to important causes to them. Now, if you don't have age in your CRM database, you don't fret. Just like I said earlier, if you don't have an endowment, this is not an excuse to not get started. If you don't have age in your CRM, and a lot of you may very well not, don't worry. Just use the giving history as a proxy. That will work. You're looking for your long-term, loyal, committed donors. If you have age, terrific. If you don't, no need to despair. Just use the giving histories. And I believe you want to look to your board for leadership in any new initiative, certainly this new fundraising initiative. I like to see as a goal 100% participation on the board, that every board member has a planned gift, and the type of gift we're going to be talking about today, a gift in their will. That's a goal. I've worked with lots of goals, but it's still a worthy goal. And I've worked with some that have. I think it's worth aspiring to. We got to begin debunking these insidious, hateful myths. These things really just tick me off. This is only one of 5. That this is only for your wealthy donors. No, that is an enormous mistake. If you're thinking that, it's a nasty myth of planned giving. On the previous slide, when we were talking about your best prospects, did I say anything about the size of their gifts when you're querying for longevity, for long-term giving? That's a rhetorical question, because I know for a fact I didn't. I don't care if their average gift is $5. 5. Yeah, the guy said 5. Is it? Yeah, there you go. And I'm not being hyperbolic. If their average giving is 5 years, and let's say your organization has been around for 20 years, and in those 20 years, they've given, let's say, 15 gifts or 20 gifts, or maybe even more. Sometimes your long-term loyal donors, right? They make multiple gifts in a year. And if the average gifts of all those is $5, they're a terrific prospect for a planned gift. And you should open a planned giving conversation with them. So this is not by any means only for your wealthy donors. You'll be making a big mistake. You'll be leaving a lot of money on the table if you're only talking to your major donors about planned giving. So please, let's cut this nasty myth off at the knees. It is not only for your wealthy donors. So here's how we get started with charitable bequests. As I've mentioned, charitable bequest, gift in will, it's the same thing. They're synonymous. Charitable bequests are gifts in wills. So alongside the gifts, let's call them gifts. The gifts to dear loved ones, right? Bequests to loved ones, spouse, partner, children, grandchildren. There's the gift for your nonprofit right alongside those dear family members. That's what a gift in a will is. That's what a charitable bequest is. Now, when I was going through where we're headed, that very first slide, I said I had a little surprise for our host here. The keen-eyed among you may have recognized that the first letter of each bullet spells out Donorbox. Indeed, because I am grateful, Donorbox and Jenna, for. I was going to do Jenna Lynch, but I thought, no, we should really honor Donorbox. But I did consider doing Jenna Lynch, Jenna. I want you to know, but I chose Donorbox. I hope you don't mind. So a few of the things might be a little awkwardly worded, because I had to work within Donorbox. I didn't have a free hand for this slide, but it's important, and we'll spend a few minutes on why charitable bequests, gifts and wills are the place to start. First awkwardly worded bullet is the first one. Dear me, I need a D. I mean, it's working with Donorbox here. The average charitable bequest in the U.S. is $35,000. That is a number that I'm very comfortable citing. I've seen some higher. I believe, and as sort of the most common number that I've seen through the years, and As Jenna said, I've been doing this since 1997, so 27 years, $35,000. Now, I noticed in the chat, there are some folks, I saw somebody from Niagara Falls, I believe, and maybe some as well, Alberta, maybe I saw, but if you're with us from Canada, I found my research showed it's a little lower. It's about $25,000 in Canada. Still, either way, very respectable gift, right? Probably a major gift for all of, or most of the nonprofits that are with us. I'm going to guess probably all. $35,000 or $25,000, that's a sizable gift. So worth pursuing. Out with the technical conversations. Advise donors to talk to their attorneys. Yeah, so now we're talking to people about their wills and including you in their will. But anything that gets technical, like, first of all, how much should I give? Well, that's a conversation really you want to have with your family and your estate planning attorney. Or how do I do it? Is this a strict dollar amount, or do I do it as a percentage? Those are the kinds of conversations that you are going to ask your donors, politely, of course, to have with their attorneys. That's where that conversation belongs. So what are you talking about with your donors? You're talking about your sustainability, as I mentioned earlier, how important your work is in your community. You're talking about what you and your donor have in common, a love for your work. I know you love it, otherwise you wouldn't be in that nonprofit. And we know they love it because of their long-term committed giving history. That's what you all have in common. Now, as the relationship burdens, you don't want to burden relationships, as the relationship broadens, or maybe I was trying to say burgeons. Let's just say broadens, but I think I was going for burgeons. As the relationship grows, play it very safe, as it grows, you are going to get to know your donors better, right? And those relationships are going to deepen. But maybe initially, all you really have in common is love for your work. Well, that's a great place to start. There's no better subject when you're talking to donors and potential donors than how much they love your work. What is it about their work that inspires them to give? How did they first come to your cause, right? And of course, you're sharing your passion for the work as well. So it's the love of your work and its sustainability. How important it is that your work continue for 20, 30 years in your community. Technical questions, I would ask you to speak to your attorney about that. That's really, they're the expert on that. I'm the expert on, the work that we do. Now understand, easily the most popular planned gift. Yes, by far, gifts and wills, because they are so simple, which we're about to get to, next bullet. Because they are so simple, these are by far the most popular planned gift. You should expect 75, and I've seen as high as 90% of gifts in long-term planned giving programs being gifts in wills. So this is the long-term, this is the low-hanging fruit. These are the gifts that are going to be the most common by far. So this is clearly the place to start. Now, moving on, next couple bullets. Why are these so popular? Because they're easy for your donors. There are three things about wills that make them very simple for your donors to understand. Everybody knows what a will is. Everybody knows how wills work. And everybody knows that they need to have a will. Those three things are in your favor. You don't have to spend time educating your donors about intricacies of planned giving, like charitable remainder unit trust with net income makeup provisions and the contrasting between a charitable remainder unit trust and a charitable gift annuity. That's all off the table. We're talking about simple gifts in wills. Everybody knows how wills work. Everybody knows they need a will. These things are in your favor. Everybody knows how wills work. Everybody knows what a will is. That's the one I left out. And everybody knows that they need to have a will. That makes it easy for your donors, and it also makes it easy for you. You don't have to spend time, again, marketing resources, dollars and time, and you also don't have to train your staff. People know about wills. You don't have to train up your staff to start opening these conversations. So it's easy for your donors and it's easy for your team. The next two bullets go together. Read the riot act to naysayers. Yeah, the naysayers. Oh, we just can't do planned giving because, you know why? Because you know what we're going to get left junk. People are going to leave us junk cars. That's what they're going to do. That's why the next bullet says, these two together. Read the riot act to naysayers because gifts of cash are most likely by far. The naysayers. Oh, you can hear their whining in the meetings. No, our donors are going to leave us worthless Hummel collections. All right. First of all, naysayer. I hope you're not a board member, but sometimes the naysayers are board members. First of all, whoever you are, naysayer, I believe that you should think more of our donors than that they're going to leave us junk cars and worthless Hummel collections. That's my first thought. And my second is, by far, these are very simple, the most likely, the most valuable gifts in wills are very simple, unrestricted gifts of cash. The most desirable gift of all, that unrestricted gift of cash. And you could say, this guy's been doing planned giving, 1997, Tony M. something, I don't know, long, complicated Italian last name. I don't remember that, but he's been doing this for a long time. And he said the vast majority of gifts, like in my experience since 1997, it's probably like 98% of gifts, I'm not exaggerating, are the simple gifts of cash. That's what people leave. So let's not worry, a naysayer. Let's not focus on the 2% or less. Let's focus on the 98% or more of those simple, unrestricted gifts of cash that we're going to put as much as possible of into our endowment. Often you won't be told. In the US, the statistic is that for every gift that you know about in a will, there's another 7 to 8 gifts in wills that people are just never going to tell you. It's just too personal, too private to them. Even though you're in their will, they're not going to let you know. And I would venture to say that Canadians are similar. So, it may not be identical, but the sensibilities are similar. There are going to be a lot of people who don't tell you that they have a gift for you in their will. For every one that you know about, again, in the US, 7 to 8 that just won't tell you. You're going to give them lots of options to tell you, like check a box, right, on a reply card or something, but it's just so personal and private, they're just not going to tell you. And the final bullet here, X-ray result, the X-ray results are in. I mean, I needed an X. It's Donorbox. X-ray, if they had called themselves like Donor Beer, I wouldn't have to work with an X, and they would probably have more fun at their team meetings with Donor Beer, but or Donor Bell or Donor Base, quite Coinbase, Donor Base, but they didn't do that. So it's Donorbox. So the X-ray results are in. Respectable plan giving programs can stop right here. I want you to take comfort knowing that you never ever have to go beyond offering just simple gifts in wills. 25, 30 years from now, you're still doing planned giving and you're still just offering and promoting gifts in wills. Now, other gifts may come in, but the ones that you're promoting, the ones that you're focusing on, it's still gifts in wills. And I will tell you that 25 or 30-year-old planned giving program is highly respectable. So you could go into other types of gifts that we're not going to talk about today because they can be valuable, but they're a minority of the type of gifts that you're going to get if you do expand. Again, the low-hanging fruit, 75 to 90% of all the planned gifts in the biggest charities you could name. Name the biggest universities, healthcare systems you can think of in your state or in your country. I would bet that 75% minimum of all their planned gifts are these simple gifts in wills. The biggest, most highly endowed charities you can name. They're the most popular planned gift by far. And you don't ever have to go further if you don't want to. And you'd still have a very respectable planned giving program. We got to continue debunking these insidious myths that planned giving is too technical. No, I just simplified it. I just made it enormously easy for you. Gifts in wills. You no longer believe. I sound like I'm hypnotizing you now. Look in my eyes. You no longer believe planned giving is too technical. All right? Nasty, insidious, hateful, spiteful myth. It's not true. Not when you do it right. Not when you launch the way I'm describing. Let's go a little more into detail about the conversation. I want to flush this out a bit about planned giving being a death conversation. Now, I've already explained what the conversation is about. I'm going to take it just one little step further. I'm going to just refine it a little bit. It's not a conversation about death. It's a conversation about life. The life of your nonprofit. The sustainability of your work, your mission, your values in your community. So it is not about death. It's about life. So when you're talking to your donors, you're sharing in a conversation what the two of you share, a love of your work. That's what the conversation is about. And now that we've debunked this hateful myth number 3, you know what the conversation is not about. So you can go back to the naysayers. Oh, we can't do it. You know what this is going to lead to? Do you know what this is going to mean? We're going to be talking to people about death. What are you off your rocker? How dare you bring this conversation, this topic into us? Naysayer, you're mistaken. It's a conversation about life, the life and the sustainability of our important work. I was about to say sorry, naysayer, but I'm not even sorry. I'm not sorry. I have no tolerance for the naysayers. I like to think about how we can instead of why we can't. If you're a why we can't kind of person, the reasons are abounding. You know, why I can't continue to listen to this guy with the long name, the long last name. I think of a million things that I could be doing right now. Let's focus on the how we can, not the why we can't. So here's a reason, debunked reason that you can. How am I? I'm in a sentence here I can't really get my way out of. Let's just say we debunked the myth that planned giving is a death conversation. So here's where we are so far. You can see what we checked off there. We've debunked 3 of the top 5 myths. We've got 2 more to go. I got some marketing ideas for you. Continuing ed is just a simple slide because if you want to go further. And then the all-important Q&A as Jenna, not Jonah, Jenna. Jenna's the one. She's the one who asked you. And I'm asking you again, please put your questions in the chat. Hope there's lots of questions. Love the Q&A. It's important. We need to debunk this myth number 4, that it requires a lot of money, because I'm about to give you a lot of marketing ideas that don't require a lot of money. I'm keeping planned giving low lift for you. Low lift in terms of time. Now, yeah, are you going to have to spend some time? Naturally, but not a lot. And low lift in time in terms of money. You don't need to spend a lot of money. So here's my marketing idea. So debunk myth number 4. You know, if you got a naysayer again, should I channel them again? Oh, we're going to have to spend so much money. We have to teach people about life insurance, and it's going to be horrible. No, it's not. It's not, naysayer. Out you go. So some marketing ideas, beginning with events. A couple of speaking points into the remarks. Maybe you're the person who's tasked with drafting the remarks, or maybe you are the remark speaker, remark talker. You're the speaker for the event. A couple of sentences, that's all you need. You know, we're focused on our long-term, our sustainability. You all here know how important our work is because you're supporting us, and we are grateful that you're here with us and that you do support us. And we're focusing on the long term. We're focusing on sustainability. We're starting to ask our committed donors for gifts in their wills, and it's so easy for you to do. You could talk to Jenna in the back there, and she'll give you some more information later on. And what is Jenna going to talk about? Jenna's not going to have a conversation that's technical about wills. We've been through this. She's going to be talking about the value of gifts and wills for your work. So you're not setting the person up for a technical conversation. No, we know that. We know better than that now. So that's it. Just a couple of simple bullet points in the remarks. That's it. And if you have a program, whether digital or print, a little sidebar. I'm a big fan of sidebars. So like in 50 words, you can say everything you need to say. You don't need to write articles. You don't need to have a page in the event program about this. Simple sidebar. For print, your print channels, sidebars. Oh, look at that. Sidebars of articles. That makes no sense, right? Because it's supposed to be sidebars or articles. Or, I think you're going to get a survey from Donorbox. I think you should flag that on slide 13. There is the guy had a spelling error. It's inexcusable. I can see how it got through spell check, but still inexcusable. Slide 13. I want you to mark that down for the feedback when you get the survey. This is very bad, egregious. Sidebars or articles in your newsletter and your annual report. I'm a big fan of sidebars, as I just mentioned, so just repurpose those sidebars from the events. Same sidebar. Again, 50, 60 words covers it. You don't have to write 200, 300 word articles. I hope you don't, on gifts and wills and the importance of your work for your newsletter. It's not necessary. Sidebars. Your annual report, of course, that's a good place to promote this. You might include a list of the donors with their consent, naturally, that you can use their name who have done this. You might include the list of folks who have done it early on, and then alongside that recognition, of course, you're inviting others to join them. If you're recognizing your other donors in your annual report, and I've sat in those meetings around a table. No, she doesn't want the MD after her name. No, it's the other doctors, or she wants the MD after her name. No, they want to be listed as a couple. No, but he wants the Esquire after his name. No, I'm spelling it right. Believe me, Martignetti is the last name. You can imagine the convoluted spellings I've got, the different combinations I've seen. So, and then after all those machinations, there's still complaint. No, I told you I don't use Esquire after my name when they see their name in the annual report, right? I've told you I don't use Esquire. So we did our best. I've been in those conversations. I've been in those meetings. If you're doing that for your other donors at different giving levels, then you certainly should be doing that for your planned giving donors as well. They deserve the same degree of recognition. Digital channels, repurposing sidebars. Hopefully you don't have to write articles. And plus, sidebars are so much easier to get approved, right? Because it's 50 or 60 words, not 200, 250 words. And then the approver, with the commas and semicolons. Well, who brings in semicolons now? Well, it's dead. It's dead. So, sidebars. I hope you don't have to go through the approval process for articles. Simple page on your website. Yeah, I just want to spend a minute here. You don't need the planned giving encyclopedias that there are companies that sell. They're selling, like for $500 a quarter. You don't need the subscriptions to planned giving encyclopedias or tax calculators. Remember, we're keeping planned giving low lift, easy. Gifts and wills, no tax implications for gifts and wills, no tax calculators, no income calculators. You don't need those messy subscriptions where people click over and everybody can tell it's not your website anymore because we know now to look at the address bar. You don't need it. Simple planned giving page, or maybe 2 pages. I'll grant you, maybe 2, but that's it. So what does go there? Maybe a donor testimonial, a pull quote or 2, maybe a picture of a donor couple or partners. How about how easy it was for them to include you in their will, why they did it, what it is about your work that moved them to put you alongside each other in their will, as well as their other loved ones. So simple pull quote, a contact person, and then a few sentences certainly about the importance of your work and how important it is that it be sustained in your community. And there you go. There's 1 or maybe 2 planned giving pages. That's all you need. And remember that contact person, We know that by now. They're not answering technical wills questions. We know that. Email signature, something that everybody could put in their digital signature, right? You can include us in your will. Here's how. It's so simple to do. Ask me. It's easy to do. Something like that. Just trying to, I'm the evangelist for planned giving, so I like to see lots of planned giving promotion out there. Low lift ways. Direct mail. Now here, I'm envisioning direct mail that's not devoted to planned giving. I mean, you can do that, of course. You can have direct mail devoted to planned giving naturally, but that's higher lift, higher budget. I'm thinking of existing pieces that you're already sending for other purposes. You drop a buck slip in. A buck slip, and I got dropped a note there in case, may not know what I'm talking about. They're printed 3 on a page. Okay, and then they get cut up. So you're just inserting a third of a page into your existing package that's on some other topic. A third of a page, no increase in postage. You're not putting some bulky brochure in. You don't need that. And what does a third of a page look like? Looks like a sidebar to me. Repurpose those sidebars from your events and from your annual report and from your other channels. Same sidebar. Maybe it's printed on a little colorful piece of paper to attract attention to it. But that's it. Third of a page dropped in. Mailings. And that last one there, you reply envelope flaps for self-selection checkoff. That's when you order new envelopes. So you do a run of envelopes, whatever you do, 5,000 envelopes or something. These are the reply envelopes that come back to you. Not the BREs, not the business reply envelopes that have that postage indicia, that have that postage indicia. I got the word this time. I thought the word indicia. Not those, because the post office is very particular about what goes on those envelopes, but other reply envelopes where you pre-address, back to your office. On the flap of those envelopes, put a little checkoff box. Send me info on including your organization's name in my will. That's it. And then the person who collects envelopes, right, who gets your mail, of course, they need to be told to put those envelopes aside, because that's a planned giving prospect. They've identified themselves as having interest. So it's just a little tip for next time you do a big run of envelopes. Put that on a reply envelopes. Put that on the back flap. So low lift marketing ideas. Planned giving is going to hurt our other fundraising. Yeah, sorry, naysayer. This is our final debunked myth. And so I don't like to say sorry. No, naysayer, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. Just simply, you're wrong. I've been doing this for a long time, since 1997, and I have seen thousands of people who have put organizations in their wills who increase their other giving to that same organization. I've seen it thousands of times. Why is it? Because they feel so much closer to your work. They just put you alongside their husband, wife, partner, spouse. Husband, wife, partner, maybe spouse is a little duplicative there, right? Husband, wife, partner, children, grandchildren. Alongside those dear loved ones, there's a gift for you. And they now feel that much closer to you. And they increase their other giving. Now, you might say, well, this guy with the long, whatever his last name, I can't, Tony M something. All he's got is 27 years worth of anecdotes. It's not data. It's 27 years, but it's not 30. He hasn't got 30 years of anecdotes. Okay, fine. Then I would refer you to the quantitative research of Professor Russell James at Texas Tech University. His area of research is planned giving fundraising. One of his research studies was to determine the impact that gifts and wills, and it was specific to gifts and wills, not other types of planned gifts. What's the impact of gifts and wills on other gifts to that same nonprofit? He found that on average, 75% of people who include the organization in their will increase their other giving to that same organization. So there's 27 years of anecdotes and there's quantitative research. Planned giving will not hurt your other fundraising. Turn it on its head. There's a very good chance that it will increase your other fundraising. Okay, naysayer? Notice I didn't say sorry to the naysayers that time. It's just, okay, naysayer, out you go. And this is where we've been. We debunked those spiteful, hateful, nasty, insidious top 5 myths of planned giving. Is it coming across? Is that too subtle that is that too subtle that I don't like these nasty myths? Okay, not subtle at all. So this is what we've done, a little continuing ed, and then the all-important Q&A is coming up very soon. Continuing ed, if you like reading hardcover books, then this is a very good one. Planned Giving Simplified, published by Wiley. It's an older book, but thankfully not much in planned giving changes through the years, and this is a simple approach to planned giving if you want to go a little further. I say hardcover, because I'm not sure, it's so old, I don't know that it's in a digital format, but if you want to go further, there's a book. Oh, thank you for that, Jenna. I also have I have a guide. I don't have a book. I may have a book soon. Well, not soon, but in any case, I don't have a book. But I do have a PDF that you can download, Unleash the Game-Changing Power of Planned Giving at Your Nonprofit. You can snap that QR code, and there is the free how-to guide. And Jenna, thank you for putting that up on the screen as well. And also, I do host a podcast. Jenna mentioned it when she was introducing me. Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. I am the podfather of that podcast. But it's not devoted to planned giving. It's not a planned giving. I'm not sure there is a planned giving podcast. I don't want one. I do enough speaking and talking, training about planned giving. But it is all things that I think small and mid-sized nonprofits struggle with, like board relationships and program management. Technology issues. In fact, we have a tech contributor, regular tech contributor. You may know Amy Sample Ward, the CEO of N10. She's our tech contributor on many times a year. And of course, all the fundraising topics as well, but not devoted to planned giving. So fundraising topics alone, there's it's probably 12 or 15 topics right in that. Volunteer management, etc. Again, all things I think small and mid-sized shops struggle with, and you could look for you could find it at tonymartignetti.com.
Just one announcement for you. In case you missed it, Donorbox's new CRM is here. And what a better way to talk about planned giving and then think about how you're identifying those potential legacy givers in your CRM, right? So our purpose-built CRM levels up your fundraising efforts by bridging that gap between that data that you've secured through your fundraising campaigns, event ticketing forms, your live kiosk, and it allows you to seamlessly track and analyze and utilize that information to build those strong appeals, build more rewarding donor relationships, and until September 30th, Donorbox CRM is in beta and it is free for select Donorbox users to try out. So if you are already a Donorbox user, you can simply log into your Donorbox account and access the CRM underneath the Engage tab. And that's going to be on the left-hand side of your screen. Shout out to our Donorbox users today. But if you are not yet a Donorbox user, or if you're currently a user and you're not seeing that Engage tab, you can simply fill out this interest form that I am just about to launch here, and a member of our team will get in touch to get you access to Donorbox CRM. And we will be rolling out our plans for Donorbox CRM very soon here. So go ahead and check that out. Well, Tony, thank you so much for bearing with us and showing up even amid some technical difficulties. It never fails, right? On a day of a live event, something always has to pop up, but we are so glad that you were able to join us. I enjoyed that session. We have some great feedback in the chat from others as well. So thank you for being here with us today. And everyone.
And my thanks to everyone sticking in there.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar. And thank you for all that you do. We know that the work that you do to serve others is incredibly important. And we're so proud to be able to offer the tools and the resources to support you in that mission. So thanks, everyone. Keep an eye out for the recording this week and have a great rest of your week. So thank you, everyone. And thanks, Tony.